Rankings are continuing to drop. And Tyler, we've been talking about positional rankings, prospect rankings. I've been hinting at it. And guys, yes, eventually we will have our own rankings that we put out. But we're just waiting. We've got plenty of other things to talk about. We've got time. So the list comes out. MLB puts out their power rankings, which they already did. That was on like January 3rd or 4th. They had it originally. Like they're just, they're throwing out every ranking possible. But we're here for it because it's fun and it gives us something extra to talk about. So in their power rankings, the top 10 teams, at number 10, you've got the Twins, Rays at number 9, Baltimore Orioles at 8, the Diamondbacks at number 7, the Texas Rangers at 6, Houston Astros 5, New York Yankees at 4, the Philadelphia Phillies at 3, Atlanta Braves 2, and the LA Dodgers at number 1. Now, there's a lot of questions that come out about this list for me because I also was looking at the 11 to 20 rankings, which I will not read for you guys. But in that mix is some teams, the Cubs, the Giants, the Red Sox, and that 11 to 20.
I'm not going to read it for you, but here's like half of them.
I'm not going to read it, but here's 5 of those teams,
like
and not in that order. But it's interesting because, first of all, power rankings in January always make me chuckle. Mm-hmm. But I like it because why not? It's never too early to give your predictions that nobody asked for. And then also it makes you wonder about what the league's going to look like this year. The Yankees at 4, the Astros at 5, the Rangers at 6. I think that's actually the trio that has me the most intrigued. And to be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised the Phillies are at number 3. I'm fine with it. I agree with it. But I wasn't expecting them to give the Phillies so much credit.
So I think this is one person's opinion, but this is kind of validating what we've talked about for the better part of like 6 weeks now, is that the National League is currently better than the American League. At least at the top.
Yeah.
At least at the top, it's currently better than the American League because you have the Dodgers, Braves, and Phillies are 1, 2, 3. And then the next 3 teams are 4, 5, 6. They're all American League, including, just the team that won the World Series last year. Everybody is going to have gripes with this list in some capacity.
Yeah.
I am stunned that they put the Phillies 3rd.
I'm not going to complain about it, but I'm completely thoroughly stunned as well. And I want to clarify, it's not Major League Baseball's list. It is Joel Reuter of Bleacher Report's list. Bleacher Report has had questionable lists, including putting Kyle Schwarber on the left fielder ranking. We've seen them have some questionable rankings. But yes, as you're talking about, Chris, in the chat, the Rangers coming off of a World Series, winning it all, sitting at number 6 behind the Yankees, the Astros alone. And the Phillies, honestly.
I will say this. If I had a say, my ranking would probably have the Phillies 5th, which still is not a bad place to be.
So what's your top 5 in order?
So Dodgers, Braves, is 1, 2. Dodgers and Braves are the 2 best teams in baseball. I believe that definitively. At least in the regular season, those 2 teams are almost assuredly going to win the 2 most games in baseball this year. Mm-hmm. At 3, I would put the Houston Astros. You acquire Josh Hader. Your pitching staff is still strong enough. The trade stuff may happen. Like you may end up, like we've talked about in the past, I thought that they were cash strapped and then they go and spend $1 billion on Josh Hader. So does that mean that they're going to move Framber Valdez? Does that mean they're going to move Alex Bregman? Does that mean they're not bringing Ryan Presley back at the end of this year? All of those things could probably be true. But to me right now, the Houston Astros on paper are the 3rd best team in baseball, followed by the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
I think that you can't go much lower than 4. I know that Jordan Montgomery is still a free agent. Mm-hmm. He may not be back. I thought Josh Hader made a ton of sense for them because of the bullpen woes that they had at during the course of the regular season last year. If you find a way to pair him and Jose Leclerc together as your back end of the bullpen, plus how good Will Spores was in the playoffs, I think you got a really formidable back end of the bullpen. So I would put Texas at 4, and then I'd probably put the Phillies at 5.
Okay. I do feel like a lot of this is very much projected, of course. Because you're looking at the Dodgers. Obviously, it's based off of the additions of Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto and Tyler Glasnow. The Yankees, who have already made additions like Juan Soto.
Oh, and by the way, the Dodgers, the guys that are already there, they're pretty darn good at baseball,
and
too.
Mookie and Freddie, they have a very good team. So I agree with the Dodgers because it's a mixture of what you did and what we think you're going to do.
Right.
And so I agree with the Dodgers should be number 1.
When you say
anybody has any quarrels with that, that's a problem.
When you say there's a handful of guys who could be called the best player in baseball on the planet, and one team has 2 of the 4.
Literally.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
And the Braves make sense.
Like when you
for
say,
that exact reason
right,
also.
and Ronald Acuna's a third of the 4th.
You
like
have the best players.
When you say who's the 4, like give me the 4 best players in baseball, no order. Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts probably headline that list. Ronald Acuna's on that list.
Right.
Pick a 4th.
And that's why it makes 1 and 2. I agree with you. It makes complete sense. The Yankees, as we know, between Juan Soto and Alex Verdugo, Marcus Stroman, they still are, as reports are indicating, still shopping. I know John Heyman was reporting that recently, looking at names like Hector Neris, Keenan Middleton, Ryan Brazier, Phil Maton, Wandy Peralta. So they're still looking to add some more to their roster in terms of a reliever specifically. They're not done, but I still don't know. I think. Okay, I know I was just reading Aaron Judge is supposed to be batting 3rd, and they're figuring out their lineup and all of that. So, okay, the Yankees are absolutely a top 5 team. But I want to keep the Rangers above them, but I also understand that the Yankees should be, if all pans out like it's supposed to, a top 3 team. So I would even keep the Yankees there. I think my main switch actually would be the Yankees are number 3. I think the Rangers are number 4.
Okay.
The Phillies, I like them at number 5, but I'm putting the Phillies over the Astros. I gotta just take that one. Biasly enough.
That's a personal choice.
That's a personal choice.
Yeah.
I'm putting the Phillies above the Astros, but technically we can actually have the Phillies in my ranking at number 6 behind the Astros.
So here's my thing.
Dodgers, Braves, Yankees, Rangers, Astros, Phillies. Ugh.
Here's my thing with the Yankees. So they add Soto. Judge is a stud. I think Anthony Volpe is going to be a really good player for a really, really long time. It's a really good offense. At least top heavy. You know,
right.
Verdugo is what he is, and Gleyber Torres is a solid player as well. 25 home runs last year, hit 270. My question is, past Garrett Cole, what does the rotation look like? They signed Marcus Stroman, who has, I think Marcus Stroman's best years are behind him. I'm not saying he's bad by any stretch. I think that his best years are probably behind him. You signed Carlos Rodon to that big contract last season. I think Carlos Rodon is primed to be one of the candidates for comeback player of the year this year because of the fact that he was injury ridden.
I like that.
He pitched less than 70 innings. He had almost 7 ERA for the Yankees last year. It was a rough year for Carlos Rodon.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be much, much better in year 2. But Clark Schmidt is above 4 ERA guy. Nestor Cortez had again another guy who had an injury-ridden season after having a good 2022. Their rotation is better than it was at the beginning of the offseason when you add Marcus Stroman and you get Carlos Rodon back. But I'm not sure how good their rotation is past the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I know specifically about the Astros words, Steven Garrison saying the Astros window is closing. I agree. That's why I could make the argument to put the Phillies above them because I feel as though the window is closing. This is a group that hopefully this will be the first year we start to see them drop off as their postseason dominance starts to waver. A lot of people actually on Twitter were having the same issue with the Yankees, where they were saying, how can you have the Yankees so high up and above teams like the Rangers and even the Astros because of that exact thing. The Dodgers, our initial complaint, an area of weakness for the Dodgers was pitching. Without Shohei Ohtani able to pitch this season, the Dodgers, before they signed Yamamoto, of course this was, didn't have the starting pitching rotation that was going to complement the incredible at-bats they would have. They fixed that. The Yankees have not fully fixed that, as you make the great point, Tyler. So I know others were saying the same thing of the Yankees still are, you know, not as strong as maybe people think. On paper, it's an exciting group. Just to even think about Aaron Judge and Juan Soto together, and Garrett Cole, and you know, you get excited about that. But we know in baseball there's more to it.
Yeah, what's funny with the Dodgers rotation you bring up too. This is almost like the prequel to what's to come. Like because you don't, you know, Ohtani's not pitching at all this year. Dustin May is on the shelf for quite some time. Tony Gonsolin's going to be on the shelf for quite some time. You had to address a rotation for this season, right? And it's why you bring in Glasnow. Right. It's why you bring in James Paxton for 1 year. You had to address a rotation that was full of holes this season because you're probably not bringing Clayton Kershaw back, which to me, by the way, like I can go on a tangent on that. Like you know how we have the Alejandro Bedoya conversation in Philly? with the Union.
Yep.
Step that up like 40-fold because
Yep.
Clayton Kershaw is a legitimate Hall of
weird-
Famer. It's so weird to me that there's not like this handshake, low AAV 1-year deal.
Something,
you know what I mean? So it's kind of weird to me. But they had a bunch of holes this season that needed to be fixed, to be addressed. Next season, when you get Gonsolin fully healthy, you get Dustin May fully healthy, you get Emmett Sheehan gets a year under his belt at the major league level. You have Glasnow, you have Yamamoto, you have Shohei Ohtani to come back.
right?
It may go from last year being an injury-ridden, like this team is a rotation short of being one of the great teams ever, to next year in 2025, legitimately the Dodgers maybe being one of the best regular season teams to ever walk the planet.
And I still, actually, Steven, I'm on the same page as you. I still don't know, even with all those additions, and I know we've talked about the Dodgers as a super team, if they're going to pan out come postseason time. It's such a long...
I have no idea if anybody pans out postseason time.
Yeah, we don't know. But it's such a long season. So much can change. So much can happen. I think right now it's flashy, it's easy, it's exciting, and it's going to definitely sell tickets and jerseys and everything else that comes along with it. But come the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if the top rankings and top teams that are still standing look a little bit different. I think a team like the Phillies are great for that exact reason, because you already have a group that's played together. You already have a group that's figured out where those weaknesses are, and now it's a time to address it going into next year, whereas the Dodgers, the Yankees, they're still going to have to figure out, what do we look like as a team? We know what Shohei Ohtani did.
You love the team element of it.
I love the team aspect of sports. I do, because I'm like, it's such a... We always in sports just get excited in any sport of just plug and play and it's suddenly going to work. And I'm a firm believer, as someone that's seen it as a player, coach, and a reporter, it doesn't always work out that way. So I'm all for keep this ranking, keep this same energy, and let's see who's standing